Yellow, 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 and Prem Pals
Prem
is
Pals. We're
back,
back.
big it back, and I think it was a pretty good week for both parties involved, and a pretty wild week for the Premier League in general.
It's a crazy
thought it was
season, man.
exciting. Yeah, yeah. How do you feel about that? I mean, I'd love to see that there's more competition, and instead of just having a two-horse race,
I think
you
it's
know,
definitely going to be more than a two-horse race.
love it.
But to say which horse is even in the running right now is impossible. This was the weirdest weekend of results.
Yeah,
So
and you
we'll
and you
see.
can't. I don't think you can take too much out of it. I mean, if your teams are playing well, like Spurs. I mean, are you liking your new manager? Are you liking Big
Let
Angie?
let
What's his
me
last name?
let me tell you something. And through it all, we'll play the way we want to with Big Ange Postacoglu. Whether I'm right or wrong, it's Big Ange ball. So you can keep your Pochettino, Conte and Mourinho, and even Christian Gross everywhere we go. We're loving Big Ange instead. Are you fucking kidding me? I've never been more fucking into a manager in my entire life. I know it's only been 3 dates, but 3 dates after you know what you're allowed to do after 3 dates. I
Get
I love
fucked.
him. He's the best. I mean, like obviously Pochettino, I fucking loved him and our memories are amazing, but then he went to Chelsea and cheated on us, so he can go fuck himself. And I'm loving Big Ange instead. That's how I feel, man.
Yeah, my ears are bleeding now underneath my headphones. Thank you for
Do
that.
you think I have a career in singing? Be honest.
I mean, there's never say never.
Okay.
Never say never. Uh, to
Auto
me though,
tune.
it yeah. Look at the careers these days; it could take you anywhere. But to me, it just reminds me of
Post
that
Malone.
chant, or it's that song that we had. It's just Ollie's at the wheel. How good does it feel? And then the people that were in that song, we've got like who's that? We've got Sanchez, Pogba, and I'm
Yeah.
like, just sing it now is just blasphemous.
Yeah.
It's just
That's why it's
so.
it's it's bad to have player
Don't
names in
get me
songs.
wrong. Don't get me wrong. It was a feel good song, and I was on board. I was singing it. When it first started, I was right there with Rio, being like, sign the check and everything like that. But I just think you have to temper expectations.
Agreed.
Um, you know, just considering that it's the very beginning of the season, and we'll get into our matches, rightfully, respectfully, later. But to me, before we even get into any of that, I just was like, man, I had a feeling that you and I were texting. We text every season, but at the beginning of the last season, I was just like, I felt like there was just like a flurry of texts of if you, and I had to go back and look, and not at the text because I wouldn't bring up our private stuff like that. But just by looking stat wise, it looks like you guys didn't lose a match, like a Premier League match, until October.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
right now you're riding this Ange Wood pretty hard, bro. There's
I'm fully
three
torqued.
matches in.
I'm fully torqued to the point where I should
Yeah.
probably call a doctor. But like, it's not just that we're winning, man. It's
Yes. It's
that
been
we
more
are
than four
playing good
hours. So
football. We are playing good football, and it's pretty to watch, and it's entertaining. And I watched a game against Bournemouth at 5:30 a.m. fully attentive. Like, wasn't tired, was super into it. So I love him, man. And it's too early. You're
it's
right. I should
Bournemouth.
be like, let's wait and see. Let's give it 6, 8 weeks, and then I'll have expectations, right? Like even Nuno, in Nuno's first month, I think he was manager of the month, and then he sucked, and we fired him. So like, who knows? But I don't care. I'm in love. I'm loving Big Ange instead. So
Oh,
I'm pretty behind it. I did something a little dirty this weekend, John. That
oh
I feel
God. Oh God. All right. Give me the deets, bro. This
I
won't be the
feel
first time.
I
Give me the
feel
deets.
like what I've done is like peep on an ex's Instagram, and I'm embarrassed by my behavior. But basically what I did was I watched 20 minutes of Bayern Munich, and I watched Kane score a brace. One was a
Dear God,
penalty.
man, no.
I know, I know. It
Worst thing
honestly
you can
felt
do.
dirty. Like I was like, should I or should I just see how he's doing over there? And he scored a fucking brilliant goal and a penalty. He's already got 3 goals in 2 games. He's gonna fucking flourish. He's gonna flourish without us. It hurts.
Oh God. It's like, did you create a fake account
I streamed.
like with just like the no picture, and then so you could watch
Yeah.
him, and they just think it's
Yeah.
someone totally different.
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
Put
yeah,
like Bayern Munich
that gets
fan
pretty
554,
bad.
my username.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It
Well, I
feels
mean,
wrong,
I
man.
know what it's like. I know what it's like.
Oh,
It feels wrong, but you do wish the best for some players. For me, it's been quite a while since I've watched play. Like even when Rooney left, he knew it was time, and I would give him kudos for realizing that. And that wasn't even a drawn out saga. It was just like one day he was
yeah.
there, and next day he was like, "I'm not good enough to do this anymore. I'm playing midfield. I'm not even playing a striker.
Yeah.
So I think it's time to move along." And gracefully, and he went and did some
He did
cool
it
stuff,
very
and
gracefully.
Emily and stuff
Like,
like that. Yeah,
I was
yeah.
impressive how he
So
left,
he,
actually.
yeah. I mean, obviously Pogba left in bad terms. Everyone praises Ander Herrera, and they're like, shouldn't have sold him. What a lot of people don't remember is some of these players did not play well towards that time that you get cut, and it's not just because due to playing well that some players leave. And I know
Yeah.
that sounds like too obvious, but like people remember his passion. There's some people that are still, like on the fence about Fred leaving. I'm like, okay, intensity,
Yeah.
passion. That doesn't work for you to move up the table. So yeah, I mean it's hard. And I would have taken Kane, or we would have taken Kane in a heartbeat. It's sad to see him go,
Everyone.
but he has enough time that he'll come back and do a victory lap. And I think that it'll be pretty cool that if you guys do end up doing well, that in like 2 years or a year, Kane comes back just to get that
I mean,
record and
imagine, can you
give the
imagine a
wave to
world
Kane.
though where, so Bayern won last year, but barely. Dortmund almost won, right? Can you imagine a world where somehow they flub it and don't win? And then, we
A
win like a
curse.
Carabao Cup or something like that. Like it would just be so absurd. But no, I wish him well, man.
Kane
Like
curse.
it's not like Pochettino. Pochettino left, and honestly, I hope they lose every game. And I can't stand him now. I feel like he did us so dirty by going to Chelsea. But going to Bayern is fine. I'm over it. I'm happy for Kane. Seeing him score feels weird, especially in those colors with red.
But
But
having Mourinho and Conte from Chelsea was all right.
no,
No,
I never really loved either of them. Fuck them.
so
I hate
so
them.
just
So
it just goes to show, it's not
yeah.
always the grass isn't always greener. And to tell you the truth, I actually watched his debut at Bayern. Even though it was a replay, I did go back and watch like the first part of that match to see him come on and get that goal. So I
Yeah.
mean, we were all kind of curious to see if he was going to fail or fly. And I mean, it
I
is
think he's gonna
Bundesliga.
thrive.
It could be all right.
Yeah. But let's get into the games. Don't call it a comeback. Actually do. Manchester United 3, Nottingham Forest 2. I uh I didn't think you were gonna come back, to be totally honest. I thought maybe to get a draw, but it was a good effort. It was a good comeback. What are your thoughts on the game there?
Yeah, I actually almost texted you in the middle of the night before. Uh, Not that I was up, but I had a bad feeling. I was like, man, it's just another one of those where the every team that we play right now has the option of I don't know who's going to win. There's not a team that we're just like, oh, we're going to get easy 3 points, which is always scary. And I just feel like we've been on that rail for so long now, like years on years. And last year, again, I bring up we started out two in the hole, and it's just like it's not convincing. But as I'm showing up to the pub for the match, we're walking in. Well, oh no, we're in the Uber because one of the other Denver Reds, one of my buddies, lives 2 blocks away. We're in the Uber, about to get out. They score. Get out of the Uber. We're just like, just take a deep breath. It's only 2 minutes into the match. Going to order coffee and a beverage, and they score again. So it's 4 minutes,
Yeah, I
and
forgot it was
it's
that
8
early.
a.m.
4 minutes.
game. Yeah, and that was the only reason why you don't turn around and immediately get on a scooter and head home. It's just like I'm going to bed. Like Rio had posted, and the admin had to be like, get on there and said, "Wakey, wakey." We're back at it.
2-0 in
But
four
again,
minutes is rough.
it's very worrisome, and it's not put on just like one aspect of the team. Again, it was
I mean,
we
one
had
of those
started
goals was a bit
off
of an
and
Onana mistake, though.
was
He was kind of out of position, wasn't he? But Yeah, can't put it just on
Well,
him.
it's the risk. It's the risks we're taking.
Yeah.
It's the same thing like when we start touching on Bruno shortly. But for me, it's just there were so many holes in the system that were made by a team that we were trying to create a starting 11 with Mount, with certain players that didn't work in certain positions. And I think that once we had like Martial in nine and we had Erickson in the Mount role, again, it's going to take a second to adjust. But also, we saw with those two players that actually play the position a little bit different than the people that are starting at the moment. It is creates a different dynamic. And so for me, that's what it took. For me, it was a blessing in disguise. I was really excited to see actual number 9 up front, and I was actually really excited to see Erickson because I've said in week in, week out already that I don't
Eddie
know
Eddie.
where Mount fits.
Yeah. I
And I
mean, he
think that
looked
he will come
leagues
good.
better
I
than
just
Mount.
don't know where.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was
It's just
so
because Mount just,
steady. Yeah.
yeah. And he needed a little bit of that confidence. So that goal, I was like, man, perfect timing for a goal to get the confidence back and just take a breather. It's okay, Erickson. Your spot is not under threat. They're just trying to figure out what system works best. And
Yeah.
I heard on another podcast, someone mentioned a scenario, or basically they pointed out that the defense, the parts that worked really well for us last year, that back four and that defense was working with someone that stayed really close to the line, like De Gea, and they're trying to integrate this new system. So some of the people, I think you mentioned you didn't think that the Butcher played really well. He was now pushing people into getting corners and stuff. Like he saved a lot of balls coming in on that right side, or the left side, right side, that could have easily been a touch into the box and another goal. If they would have gotten 3-4 up in that first half,
Oh, you're
4-1,
toast.
it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
your heads drop. So they're all doing in the defense, they're doing different stuff and we even switched out Varane for Lindelof because they kept trying to do this little pass over and trying to catch that little space because they know that Onana is going to be out and the defense is playing a high line, so they're trying to just hit that little pocket and have that striker they got. What's his name? On well, starts with the name that
Awani
that
or whatever. Yeah.
Awan, yeah,
Yeah.
and he was playing really well. And
Yeah. I
you
mean,
could
they
tell
were,
that was their tactic, and they switched him out. They switched out the defense because they're like, Varane doesn't have the speed. Because there was a one-on-one scenario where it looked like he was slow-mo in it and skipping around. You're like, this could
I
be
mean,
trouble.
do you think though, I mean, that red card, definitely a red all day was a game changer there. Like, I wonder if you guys still would have had that comeback, not playing against 10 men. But like, I mean, let's talk about individual players. Like, I thought Bruno was fucking excellent, man. Like, was it the second goal, that corner routine where he kicked it like up to the top of the box, and then he also had that free kick routine where like he was thinking so far ahead that, was it Delot or someone, like, wasn't even ready for the run. Like, it was such a good free kick, but like no one was ready for it. Like, when Bruno plays like that, I mean, I remember you sent me something about De Bruyne ranking the most creative players, and he had
He
um he
takes
had
he takes risks, and that's what
massive
people don't
risks.
see.
Yeah.
And that's why you'll see pundits get on his case and be like, he doesn't deserve Graham Souness. Be like, this guy's not captain material. He flubs in the big. It's like
He's got a
you you
weird
you, pra-
attitude.
you praise him. You praise him when he's doing magic, and then
Yeah.
you're on him for mistakes when it's not going our way. And it's just hard to see that if you don't take that many chances, it's that classic saying, you only miss the shots you don't take,
Yeah.
and that's fully his personality. And we talked about other players, people coming down, and other players such as Casemiro. I
I
mean,
thought
right off
Casemiro
the
was
training,
really poor again. I don't know.
look at
He seemed
off the training ground, how that goal was. Rashford, first of all, has had implications and had stuff going on with all three goals. He was a part of all three goals.
yeah, he was
He
much
had,
better.
yeah. So Rashford chips that ball over to Bruno. Bruno places that nice little touch. Casemiro still has to put 2 touches on the
Still
ball
there.
before he
Yeah.
puts it in the goal. So, like, I mean, and he's playing you're holding midfielder. There's not a lot. Everyone expects a lot from a team that isn't playing fantastically well because they're not gelling. Last year we were all high fiving, super hyped up. Let's get into it. Every little touch, especially the butcher, you saw that enthusiasm. Right now, it's just like they're trying to figure it out, and it's gonna hurt
Yeah.
us in big games. Like if we don't go in with a plan against Arsenal next week, it's not going to be a fun day. Like that might
It's,
be a
I mean,
leave at halftime from the pub day.
of course, you can't fault Casemiro, defensive midfielder, scoring a goal. And I think he was great in that moment. But like to me, when you played against us, when you played against Wolves, your midfield is lacking control and also lacking physicality, two things that Casemiro has, built his career on. So like to me, the role he's supposed to be playing, he didn't have a good game in that sense. That's not to say he didn't do some good things. Christian Eriksen, I think, improved the control there, and he holds the ball well and stuff like that. But yeah, I wasn't impressed by Casemiro. I was very impressed by Bruno and Eriksen. Rashford, yeah, I mean, I think playing out wide, he started out wide with Martial up top, right? So I think you've been
Yeah, it's
screaming for that
obvious.
for weeks now. Like it
It's obvious.
was far better, right? But
Yeah,
I didn't
it's
think
just
Martial was
where
very
he's
good.
comfortable. Well,
All right.
Martial, our main thing is everyone's just kind of like, he's a China doll at this point. It's
Yeah.
like you
He
really
didn't get
just want
injured.
him to stay healthy because he does. Again, he holds the ball up really well up top, and it's just something that we're missing. He's not a target man, but he's a different type of number 9 that can move the ball around, hold the ball up. He just like has good vision. It's the little touches in the box that start creating things. And you can just tell that Rashford doesn't have that.
Yep.
So to see Rashford off the left, it just makes more sense. And he proves it every time he gets off the left. He's like, look,
Yeah.
I
I'm a
haven't been
great
producing anything the
footballer.
first couple of matches. Now look, I mean, I contributed to all 3 goals.
Yeah.
Stop putting me up the middle. Put anything up there.
Ten Hag
It's
has
not
to
me.
realize that by now. And I think if whenever discount Holland is better,
Stubborn.
I think
Stubborn.
he'll maybe fill that role. But Martial, he's all right. It's not like he was horrible. Like, and I thought Anthony was actually decent too. But I mean, it's you got to be happy with that comeback, right? Nottingham Forest, like you mentioned in the beginning, a lot of these sides are better than you think, right? I thought Nottingham Forest played well. They kept their shape well. They defended well. Um, they're a decent side. They're going to beat a lot of teams. I think they'll definitely stay up this year. So, and any win is a hard win, but I still think United, when we did our preseason pod, I put them at third. I definitely don't even think they're top 4 now after 3 games. That's not to say I don't think they're going to be decent, but I don't know. They're not what I expected. And maybe that's just a few players underperforming, but I do think that defense,
I
I mean,
think it's the
let's
other way around.
really
I think it's the other way around. I think we'll do well, but I don't think we're
play
going to be
poorly.
decent. I think it's just going to be
Yeah.
it's just going to be a bunch of scrapping, a bunch of just weird antics to grind out and get a lot of wins. And it's not going to be like last year. It's not going to be a defensive uh, great performance that we all were betting on. It's like it was a for sure thing that our back four, if we got in trouble, would at least give us an opportunity to pull out a counterattack. So right now, I'm just like, I'm looking at the desperate buys that we might make in this closing of the window, and one of those buys might be a current
Pierre
player.
Emile Hoybier. Let's talk about that because, I mean, to be honest with you, he came on as a sub versus Bournemouth and he was excellent. Like he's very like I don't want him to be a starter for Spurs. We have better players in that position, but and he can be a bit. He's a player that looks very poor when he's playing. He's not fast. He's got weird touch. He's got a weird gauge to his run. He's kind of like a nerdy looking player when he plays. He doesn't have any like Brazil-esque vibe, but he's very effective. Like very effective. He recycles possession. He's better going forward. I don't want to sell him, to be honest. I want to keep him as a sub, but what do you think about that? Are you thinking that's viable? Do you think that's laughable? I mean, what is he splits opinion amongst the Tottenham fan base massively.
I think if you go back and listen to some of our last season stuff, uh, besides having to every time I go to say his name, it sounds like I'm hawking a loogie. It
Boy, Pierre.
I've never been impressed with the guy. I remember just like laying into him, and you were defending him to the ends of the earth, saying, "No, are you kidding me? He's this performance." Is us like, man, he just is liability. Like he's
Yeah.
not there in the big moments. again, though, for us right now, in a position where it's like, man, we're looking for something in the midfield that, which is a testament to what we were just chatting about. Mounts is not living up to that potential, especially if they're looking for a person after spending 50 mil to come into a similar role, to kind of hold up, as you said, next to Casemiro, because that is a big gap for us. It's like we need more than just Casemiro to be staying there sometimes to be a little bit more defensive. It's a
I
big
mean,
ask,
he
and
could
everyone,
Hoybier could play the Ericsson role that he's playing now. He's actually decent, like going
yeah,
forward, but he could also be a like for like substitute for Casemiro. Like he's decent defensively. He can pick the ball up from the back line and move it forward. I wouldn't say he's like super progressive with his passes. You're not going to see him like scope out Rashford on a run, but he can give the ball to Ericsson and or Bruno, who can do something more creative. I mean, I actually think he's a decent addition, would be a very decent addition to your team, but you can't expect him to like slot in and start. Like that wouldn't be his role.
yeah,
Um, but I'd be kind of sad to see him go. I don't know. I've always thought he was decent. He's got a great mentality, super professional, that Danish Viking. But
yeah. Andy's had some ties with Ten Hag already before they've been in the same circles. Was it Ajax or where was it? Where did Hoiberg come from before?
I mean, he's played for a lot of teams. He played for Bayern Munich
Red
like
Bull?
really
Yeah.
earlier in his career. He had like some pep.
And that's what I was saying. Because Ten Hag was the assistant
Okay.
under Pep during
Yeah, I
that
mean, we
time.
got him from Southampton, but he it looks like he also had loans at Schalke, Osberg, Augsburg, but and then played for Bayern early in his career. But I mean, he was great for Southampton when we bought him. But I don't see it. I mean, Atletico's sniffing around to buy him too, but he played so well in the last game, coming on in like the 60th minute and shoring things up that I think we're going to want to save him. But we have too many players. We have to sell some people, so we'll see.
That's a shop window move. That's kind of
You're right.
our Donny Van Der Beek. It's like put him in at this point. We can't afford to do that right now because if we try to put someone in the window, we'll get scored on. So, but that would totally be the similar move as us putting in Donny Van Der Beek and be like, get out there, get a goal, and, make it look convincing.
Yeah. Last point on United, because we've had this ongoing Romero versus the Butcher debate, which I think should be completely over by now based on these first 3 weeks. But yeah, I mean, what do you think of that defense? Because I do think, other than Wan-Bissaka, I think Wan-Bissaka has been pretty decent and probably your best defender. I was really impressed with him first half, how he defended against Son. I don't know. I feel like that's one of the issues you guys are going to have this year is probably leaking a few goals every game. Are you still, completely content with Varane and Martinez being your center back pairing, or you think maybe Lindelof gets a start here and there? I mean, what's your overall take on the defense?
I think if Lindelof gets a start, it's going to be next to Martinez. The Butcher's
Okay.
not going anywhere. His sight for ball, like he could have 5 bad matches, and seeing what he did and how he performed last season, and then getting an injury, but and seeing how important he was to the squad. I mean, you got to think we got second place one year with Maguire and Lindelof as our starting defensive,
Pairings,
center
yeah.
backs for a full year. So going in and saying like all of a sudden Romero is now like one of the elites is it's just funny to me because it's like yes, your partner can help you play better. I think we've seen that numerous times when it comes to defensive partnerships and why we can switch out players and having a legend and someone who is just such a veteran at the position and taking out Varane and putting in Lindelof without even considering taking off Martinez just goes to show
How important he is to the
the
team.
guy's
Yeah.
earned his role. Yeah, it's just because it's not just that he has a great mentality. He is a leader. He does put in that little bit of umph. So even some of the stuff that people don't see technically wise, he is doing a job out there. And for me, it's just a position that I don't see him getting taken out of unless he starts giving up goals.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, I think
that's
it's
your
a similar take to when we talked about Romero last season. You'd be like, I don't get it. I mean, I was looking at the match ratings, and I think Martinez had the worst match rating on the team for that last game. But I get it, right? Like, there's a lot of games last year where you could have watched Tottenham and Romero, and you did, and you were like, I don't get it. This guy's not that great. He's a liability. He's a hothead. But he also has a lot of positive characteristics. This year, he's played a lot better than last year. But I get it, right? In isolation, maybe one game he has a bad game, but it's way too knee jerk to bring out a player who performed that well for you last year. So I get it. Um,
Yeah.
Makes sense. Fullbacks, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka nailed on. Delo, I mean, he looked decent
Well,
too.
with Shaw, I mean, that's why we're looking at rumored players such as
Region.
another gentleman from your squad. It's it's not exciting to think about. It's actually kind of scary because Malacia, his backup, I really enjoy too, and they both bring, different elements and different styles. And Shaw has just always been such a soldier that you don't really think about, what would happen, even though it's happened at least once a year, but you don't think about it until it's happening. And so to think that Malacia is not there and that we have to low,
How long is Malacia out for?
they haven't given us any update. They just keep saying, next week, which is just another scary sign.
Yeah.
When you can't get just a clear answer out of the manager during, um, press conferences, it's scary because they don't want you to know how thin they get in positions. And so for us to be looking at someone and we're looking at Cucurella, I think
So
that is Ten Hag's
that's
number
a
one.
classic United knee jerk end of window signing, Cucurella. But
Yeah, but you got to think. I mean, the guy was actually really good in Brighton.
excellent
I
at
mean, he
Brighton.
was somebody that people were just like praising,
Oh, he could
left
be
and
good
right.
for you. I mean, it's that's not the worst signing in the world, but yeah,
I mean, if Shaw and them are out for a
significant
lot of
time.
months, then I think it's
What was Shaw's
something we have to
injury?
do.
You
He
know,
has like a muscle injury, and I think it's like hammy, something like that. It's
it's like
just gonna take a
several
little
months
while.
then probably.
Yeah,
So shit.
yeah. They're saying until after the international break and some. So I don't know. I mean, we're gonna have to do something. We have 4 days to do something. I hope that we don't do things that we'll regret, and I hope that they're all loan deals and not giving someone a ridiculous contract because that's what gets us in trouble.
Yeah. No, you should loan
It is.
Sergio Reguilon for a year. I actually think he'd be decent for you.
I just think, like you
Um,
said, defensively he's suspect. So I'm not sure
he
we're going to
is.
go in and just open up another hole and put more work on Martinez. Because then every week you're going to be like, Martinez, I don't understand why he's playing
He
since that.
sucks,
Because your guy
bro.
came in here, your guy came in here is trash.
That might be the
No,
case.
no. But yes, I mean that's kind of where we're at. United is fickle and until we get, I think it's going to take another 1, 2 transfer windows. Actually, the sale of the actual club is just the big thing that's just weighing over. But that's all future stuff. For right now, we just kind of got to dig in and play match by match. And moving
Got
on
it.
from our massive, awesome comeback, let's talk about your guys' sailing over Bournemouth two
Bournemouth.
nil.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Tottenham 2, Bournemouth 0. I'm gonna give you a hot take right now. Okay. I think that Madison is a better player than both Foden and Mount. And I think that in the Euros up this upcoming summer, he will take the starting position from both of them if he's not injured and continues current form, because he was fucking outrageously good. I mean, his goal was excellent, but he's involved in every attack. He wants the ball, he's quick, he's creative, he moves about. He's much more like, I'd say Bruno is a bit more like calculated and takes it, but he's just like razor sharp. He's so quick. He takes it, turns this way, turns that way. I've been incredibly impressed by Madison. So I mean, Mount's been poor, and that's hard to say. Foden's actually been decent for City, but they've got so many decent
I was
players.
about
I
to
don't
say
know.
better than Foden. Did you see Foden
Yeah,
last match? Did you watch that?
I did, and I still
Like
think so.
that control that he has in the box and that. Oh, come on, bro. Like,
So you think Foden over? I mean,
that I don't think those two are comparable. Oh, 100% over. But they're
Foden
two,
over
two different styles though too. One's a little bit
very
more
much so.
direct and Madison is all about set pieces and building from outside the box. Like it's different.
Yeah, it's different, but I'm still
So yeah, I
confused
don't
as
think I
to
don't
why he wasn't linked with bigger teams. Like I don't get it. It just seems like we got such a bargain there. He's been excellent. Was really, really impressed with his performance. Scored a goal, which is great. Get that new number 10, the goal is awesome. Get that cane monkey off his back. Basuma's ridiculous. Like he's quietly the best player on the pitch every single time he plays. And I don't understand where the hell he came from. We talked about him at length
Called
last
it.
game. We don't, yeah, you did. I mean, we don't need to
Called
go on
it.
about him again, but he's just terrific, completely confident. I mean, when he has the ball, I'm not nervous at all. Yeah, I
I mean,
thought,
I was gonna say Monsumas, but I know that's kind of a
the Monsuma
touchy
of the
subject
midfield.
for you guys. So
Yeah,
the
I mean,
Monsuma.
obviously Rodri is the best in that position in the league, but like, I mean, Basuma's up there, man. He's been incredible if he keeps this up. What worries me a bit is so there's the AFCON tournament in January, Africa Cup of Nations, as well as the Asian tournament. So we're gonna lose Son, and we're also gonna lose Pape Mate Sarr, who's been excellent, who scored against you guys, and Basuma to that tournament, which is like I think a couple months. And so like I am a bit worried that we have all these players that are crucial to our system now that are going to leave for those tournaments. But it is what it is. But yeah, I mean our midfield's been outstanding. I thought Son, he hasn't scored, he hasn't got his goal, he's not doing Son things. So like, I'm sure the Son that most people are used to is blazing down the pitch from a ball from Kane and scoring ridiculous goals. That's not the role he has under this. He's much more out wide. He's involved in build up play, but he's acting like a captain on and off the pitch. It's lovely to see. He deserves that armband. I thought he had a really nice game in terms of attack. And then, yeah, I mean, people have been complaining about like the goals for Tottenham are coming, but they're never coming from the forward players. I thought Dejan
Yeah.
Kulusevski, Kulu was very good, and he scored a really nice goal too. So that was nice to see.
I mean, it was a tap in. It wasn't like the most amazing thing in the world.
What
It
was
was
an
just there in
angle?
the right place.
Yeah.
It's like but also I don't agree with your son. The way you think that son is playing. I don't see it. He's not convincing at the moment, and I've seen his quality, and I really love how much I love the guy. I just don't think that like a captain wise. This is how we were talking about Bruno and how people give him guff for not doing certain things or being aggressive. He's taking those risks. Where I think as son is just kind of trying to play it safe because he wants people to know that he's not taking enough risks to where it's going to cost them, the momentum. And I think as a captain, he's not communicating, like he's not like getting people moving. He's just kind of quietly out in the left, like playing a role that you're like, I know he's got it in him. He's just not performing. So you can't evaluate his performance and say that he's doing captain things if he's not really like captaining. I don't feel like he's doing really amazing, but he's playing on a team that's doing amazing and everyone else is gelling. So eventually
Yeah.
when he does start to catch up, I think that, he'll be fine. But as of right now, I just don't it's not super convincing for me.
Yeah, I hear that. And like he's such a highlights player too. Like he is doing a bit more in between the lines. But you're right. I mean, he's being safer, but like the system that we're playing is about creating opportunities, but also creating high percentage opportunities to score. So like whereas before he'd just rip one from outside the box whenever he got an open opportunity because he's great at shooting. I think we're a bit more calculated now. And so like he's pushing the ball off to Richarlison, who we'll talk about in a second, and Madison, and letting someone else shoot. But yeah, I thought Decky Kulu had a good game. He had a nice goal. I think it's good to get that monkey off his back. He had a terrible season last season. The only issue with our front line right now is Richarlison. Man, he had a terrible game. He tripped over the ball while he was dribbling and then kicked out at another player and got a yellow card. It was sad to see. I'm still holding the faith. I know that Richarlison has the ability to be a good footballer, and this system actually suits his type of performance, but he's got a real confidence problem. And I think that if we decide to drop him and move Son there, which we did in that game, and Son plays pretty decent up there, I think his confidence is going to be broken, and I think he'll never perform for us. So I think even though he's shit, we have to just keep playing him until he scores, or else we'll break him. I don't know. What did you think? Were you impressed with Richarlison?
He's non-existent. It's just
Yeah.
like even when he builds up and you're just like he's in the right position and there's that chance to tap in or at least like feed it to where there's a rebound off the keeper and cause some mayhem. It's just a swing and a miss or just obvious movement, and he doesn't put himself in the right positions to be threatening, and just like he tries to do too much. Then when he does have a moment to do something, he's like trying to do a bicycle kick or volley or weird header and just throwing his body around to make it look like he's putting in a solid an effort for it. But end of the day, it's results. It's a results
Yeah.
game, and if you're not putting in goals, but again, it's like I mentioned with Wankhorst that we had
Weghorst.
last. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he got to live his childhood dream and everything. But anyway, you play a role.
Yeah.
So whether you like it or not, you're an actual number nine and you're a threat, even if you're not a threat. You're still in a position to where if they did leave you just completely by yourself, you could score a goal. But if you have the right man marking or zonal marking on it and you know how to alleviate that person as a threat, it doesn't really do much. And he's just not doing enough
Yeah.
to create things. And you could see like the frustration on Son where there was a couple of times where he was in the box and Son was like hitting the ground being like right here,
Pass it.
pass it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, I mean,
So
yeah, I think it's an absolutely fair take. I do think the one thing that he does though is like, and I mentioned this about when we played and how he was just relentlessly driving Martinez around the pitch. Like he is constantly moving and he's quick and he's physical and he's like he annoys defenders and he gets in their head. And some of that's opening space for other attacking players. So like I'm totally still behind Richarlison. I want him to start next game. I want him to start the next game. I want him to become good. If we see a pattern of 2 to 3 more poor games, we're in trouble because we don't really have a backup. We've got young kids on the bench. Son could go there, but then we need to sign another winger. So I'm holding the faith that Brazil's number 9 is good enough to play for Spurs. But
you don't have anyone that you could push out as a winger and put Son up top.
yeah, we
Because I
have
mean,
some
last
players.
time we
Tanner
talked,
Solomon, Perisic. We have
yeah,
some players
Perisic.
there.
Why would you
He's been
not
good.
try that? Because like
He
last
did.
time Son got criticism, he came out and got a hat trick. So it seems like
Yeah.
it might be an option if you're gonna once you start playing other bigger teams to and you need to put in some goals that maybe Richarlison isn't delivering. You put Son up top and Perisic out to the left.
Oh,
Do
it'll
something to
happen. I
look
mean,
up.
that happened in like the 65th minute this game, right? We took out Richarlison and then he had a yellow and was playing poorly, moved on and took in Perisic. Problem is Perisic is like he's like getting up there. He's like 35. He's not the guy who's going to play 90 minutes every game. So it is what it is. But yeah, the attack is, lacking a striker. Let's talk about the opposite. So, I know you're still not Romero's biggest fan, but I think he's been absolutely terrific these last 3 games. And his partner, I mean, you're right. You made the point a few times that your center back partner can completely change you, right? If you're playing with Maguire versus, Martinez or something like that. But this kid Van de Ven, it doesn't even make sense to me how good he is. He's like 22 years old. He's so quick, so composed, happy to have the ball. I mean, we just had 2 clean sheets in a row, 2-0 against Man United, and then Bournemouth. And I know some people are saying it's Bournemouth, but this Bournemouth team spent 100 million this summer. They're playing attacking football. There's that guy, I think plays right wing, Semenyo, who was excellent. He's like Ghanaian British dude. I think Bournemouth are a very good side. I think that they'll upset some teams. So I didn't think this was like a walk in the park by any means, especially in the second half. So I think that our defense is quietly very, very capable between those two. The problem is if there's an injury to Romero or Van de Ven, we're absolutely toast because there's no one that can pick it up. But yeah, very impressed with this new signing, Van de Ven, and how he's working with Romero. And then again, our goalie was great. I mean, you saw him firsthand against United, Vicario. He's come out of nowhere, but he's been good. So, I mean, you think Martinez is still better than Romero in current form, or Romero's got
Yeah,
the edge?
yeah, 100%. Like if you put them side by side, if that's what we're comparing, we're not comparing. Do you
Yeah,
think that they're better in the partnership that they're in at the moment?
yeah,
That's a different comparison. But if I side by side technique, skill, drive, yeah, 100% Martinez, and that's not the red shades on. That's just me being honest because I just feel like he contributes, more so even offensively instead of trying to draw a foul, he's trying to create. Just
yeah. I
different
mean, I
styles.
think it'll be fun seeing them in the international break. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the future of Argentina; those two playing together. Um,
Yeah.
last point I'll make about Spurs is, I mean, this inverted. I don't know if you saw the interview with Big Ange afterwards, but they were like, you know,
Copy
he's
and prep. That's
yeah,
what
he's like, I'm just
I
copying
brought that
Pep,
up.
man.
Yeah, I brought it up. Remember, I was talking about how Aaron Wan-Bissaka, how we got caught out because Aaron Wan-Bissaka and them are doing the inverted fullback move that that Pep came up with, and it's a new style. It's just like when they started, when we started getting wingers, that fullbacks that became
The
wingers,
wing back
like
role,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's a new era, it's new new things which is exciting to see. It changes the game, and people, pundits and things that are now commenting, and you can disregard their opinion because you're just like, you didn't even play near the same system at all, so
Oh yeah,
you're
yeah.
irrelevant at this point. So
Phil
it's funny,
Neville's
like,
fullback role was very
yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Very
But
Neville's. Yeah.
but I enjoy it though. I enjoy it. Like anything to make it more exciting and move faster, it's enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I did not think that, when we're talking about wing backs, Pero and Udogi are two rapid attacking wing backs that are used to a five at the back system. That's what they've always played until now. So thinking they could do the inverted wing back thing and move into the midfield defend, I didn't think there was a chance. But those two have adapted so well, like especially this Udogi kid, that like I'm absolutely blown away at this full. I think it could develop into one of the best fullback tandems in the Prem this year if we continue to hold clean sheets and our center backs perform, because those two are crazy, man. Like they're literally like attacking wingers playing as fullbacks in this inverted fullback role. So as you can see, I'm absolutely fully torqued for Tottenham right now.
I
I thought
can
it was a
tell. I can
fucking
tell.
amazing win. I thought every player on the pitch, bar Richarlison, played awesome. So I think that we are a shoe in for winning the title. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I think we
I've
could
heard
maybe
it
make the
before.
top four.
Yeah, just concentrate on getting European football and let the rest just ride, because I remember even half, few matches in last year, I was just completely just done. I was deflated. I thought mid-table, I would have been okay with sixth. And then, things just, the funny game plays itself out, and, you're in a different position at come the end of the season. And it's hard to not be excited when your team is playing well, but also be realistic. And that's for me, it's just got to temper expectations, because I don't know where we're going to end up. And, I thought that we would make a run of it, but unless we do some convincing stuff in January, it's gonna be an up and down roller coaster once again. And it's just, I see this meme last couple of years where it's like, here's me off to let Manchester United decide my mental
Health for the
wellness
weekend.
for the next 9 months. Like, it's the truth though. It
So
just
true.
takes it out of you. It's like we were talking about last week. How you said, your wife just hopes that you at least get a result, so then you can have a good week. It's
I know.
so like that.
Probably not
And
good for us in reality, but I don't care.
yeah,
I'm
I
loving
mean,
Big Ange instead.
well,
It is what it
yeah,
is.
what doesn't kill you makes you insane, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just keep coming
But
back
it's
for it. Yeah.
it's an open, well, I mean, let's talk about some other the, big six key results over the weekend, because I think it's like really open, even though I get
Yeah,
it,
huge,
City's
huge, huge.
won their games. I mean, Arsenal drew, but let's go through it. I mean, it feels open. So like I watched the Liverpool Newcastle game. I was texting a
Same.
Liverpool buddy after the VVD red card. And, I was like, Van Dyke, he's so crucial to the defense still. He gets a red card, they're fucked. And then all of a sudden they seem like they were playing better. And then
Yeah.
clutch Darwin Nunez comes in with a ridiculous brace at the end. That guy could be really good. Like
Yeah,
he's
and that's
he's
what we didn't need, is for that guy to just lock in that part
turn
of
it
his
on.
game. Yeah, I mean, it was the one thing missing, but that's the reason why they bought him.
Yeah.
That's what they saw in him. The fact that he wasn't producing that and having kind of a Richarlison season last year,
Yeah.
it worked in our favor. That starts to click. I mean, a good manager takes that, tells them to work on their finishing all of the offseason over and over again, just drilling. And I mean, it's classic because you always hear that there's the case that sometimes playing against 10 men is harder
Yeah.
than
Seemed
11,
like it in that
because
match.
yeah, and especially since Klopp went for it. He had his mindset of like, if we
How we're gonna
lose, we
play.
lose. We're just
Yeah.
gonna keep going for it. And they have a front three that is very capable of pulling
Oh
something
yeah.
off. So Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a rough watch because I was at the pub for the first part of it, and then I was watching the second. I was just like, God damn, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, and especially because their goal, like that Trent Alexander-Arnold mistake, and then Gordon just
Yee!
put it in there. I was like, and then a red card a few minutes later. I was like, they are so fucked. And then
Yeah,
shit, they pulled it out. So I mean, I don't know. You can't write off Liverpool under Klopp. You
I
just
know.
never know.
Unfortunately,
You just never
unfortunately,
know.
I was
So
texting with my buddy Shawn, who's a Liverpool fan as well, and you want to see their downfall, and then especially Trent, because it's just like the constant conversation and debate about Trent being this fullback, and people like, well, he's done it on in every aspect, in every league, in every realm, big on the big stage. It's just like, yeah, because he's had
a
Van
ridiculous
Dyke
team
back
around
there,
him.
just like,
Yeah.
covering his butt. It's like, how many times do we have to return to the conversations like, well, there goes that mistake that Trent has because he's always got a mistake in him.
Yeah.
Always, and then
Couldn't
it
agree more.
highlights, and then the next game they're gonna have him take a free kick, goal or assist, and be like, that's why. But yet in England, they're moving him to a midfield. Like I said, I was like, why not just move this guy up the pitch into a winger or midfield, like right wing, like just let the guy soar. Find someone, find the fullback to play that role, and
But we're
just
so
like have
spoiled
him
for choice in winger and right back. I mean, Kyle Walker, Kieran Trippier, like how do you even play someone over those two, right? And
because
then
they have a defensive though mindset though too. Where
yeah.
Trent's just kind of like if he gets beat, he's like, oh well.
No, yeah, I know. He's a liability, absolutely. But I mean, he's excellent at free kicks and things. And I mean, and on that free kick topic, let's move to James Ward-Prowse and
Love him.
West Ham. He's been fucking great for them. I always thought he would be good. I always kind of wanted him at Spurs. I mean, I think he's the best free kick and corner kick taker in the league. He's adding more than that to West Ham. And I mean, it's weird because West Ham are Tottenham rivals, but I'm more worried about Brighton, being a big six rival than West Ham. But like they had that Bowen finish was excellent. I thought they were defensively sound as hell. They just completely shut Brighton down. I mean, I didn't expect that result in a million years after the first 2 weeks of Brighton. What did you think of West Ham?
Yeah, West Ham are impressive, and Moisey making moves, making waves. Won a trophy last year,
Yeah.
and they're making buys, and I think they just picked up another player today or yesterday. Kudos,
Kudus,
kudos.
yeah, the Ghanaian from
Yeah.
Ajax. He's a really good
So
player.
they're making
They
some
got that
moves, and
Declan Rice
hopefully,
money, man.
yeah, hopefully they'll take McGuire on loan, please God. That'll help us put a chink in their armor because they're coming for us because we've just had their number for a while. And I think Ward Prowse is such an amazing addition. I think
Yeah.
even better than Madison at Tottenham. I just think it's just like that's a steal. That's a it's great. But yeah, you already said yeah. You weren't even ready for the comment.
I
You're like,
like Ward Prowse a
yeah,
lot, but I don't think he's in the
yeah.
same. He doesn't even live on the same planet as Madison. Not even.
Woo!
Not
Got him.
even.
Got him.
Not
We were
even.
like,
But
yeah,
hey, I love Ward Prowse. No, 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 no,
Rich right. Yeah, yeah.
no. He's
No,
he's
I think I,
quality.
I
West
think he
Ham's
fits.
good.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Let's
And
talk
and I
about
think
where
that
Declan Rice went. So Arsenal. I thought they were going to lose that game. I would have been so happy if they had lost that game. But 2-2 draw, decent, decent result for us, right? I mean,
I
if
loved it. I loved that they drop points. Yeah,
yeah. So I
I
mean,
love that they drop points.
I think they still played decent.
And
I don't think it's going to be like all of a sudden Arsenal are shit and not going to be competing for top four, even if the title. But at the same time, like we know that Arteta's a confidence guy. And if they can have these chinks in their armor early, then that's great. So happy about it.
exactly. And dropping points this early just leaves the door open. And I think we're going to see Raya a lot sooner than we thought. I don't think that Ramsdale is doing terribly or anything like that, but I just think that they need something to change to really give them a boost. And if they have those two competing, it's something because you had one of your biggest shit talkers in the back, that was hyping people up and getting people's heads, not performing, letting goals in this early on. You don't buy someone like Raya to just sit on the bench and not, at least compete for the position. So I'm excited to see that. I think that they need a number 9 as well. I don't think Nketiah is their answer, I think that he will play well with other strikers. I don't think Jesus is the answer either. They need a for sure thing, and I think Havertz is a massive liability. The guy's
What is
literally just gone from
Havertz? Like, what
Chelsea
does he even play?
and
I don't
just
get it. Like, what is
yeah,
his
he's
position? He
very
doesn't really have
mounty.
one.
He's very mounty. He's the same thing as Mount. They both left
Yeah,
Chelsea and they're just like, I don't know what to do. Went there and played poorly. I'm just going to bring that over here.
yeah.
It's like, man, they spent a lot on Havertz to not produce. He has 0 assists. I mean, but all that stuff is early on, but he's just not showing what they need. That
He was a
arsenal
weird signing,
that
to
Arsenal
be
could
honest.
use. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think that they probably play better without him. You know,
yeah. Let's
because
talk
who else plays
last.
in that role? Smith Rowe or something like that? Who
Who
else
was
plays
that?
that role? Who else would play that role? Where does Smith Rowe play?
I mean, that's the thing though. Havertz, like he's not really a winger. He's not really a striker. He's not really a central midfielder. He seems like he sort of
He's in
floats
the
around
midfield,
and
yeah.
plays all of that. It seemed like last weekend he played in that center midfield role, but like I don't know. We'll see we'll see if he comes good. I feel like he's got talent. He was great when he played in Germany, so we'll see. But
To
um,
me, leave him in. I want
yeah,
them to
leave them
drop
in
more
so they're
points.
worse. I agree. I hope they
Yeah,
fail. Last one
yeah.
we'll talk about before we end it here is Chelsea. A lot of Chelsea fans are like, "We're back." They played like excellent attacking football and they scored some good goals. And I kind of want to be like, Luton, you scored 3 goals against Luton. Like, are you back? It's crazy, right? Like, they're not back, but they did look impressive to be honest. And Sterling was classic.
I would
Sterling,
hope so.
yeah, it's
I would
Luton.
hope so. 400 million. They still need another 400 million to fix it.
Yeah, they've spent
Saw that
some
meme
money.
today with Potch. And he's like smiling on the phone. He's like, "Hey, I need another 4 million, please.
Yeah,
400 million." It's like,
yeah,
wow. I mean, how many ins and outs do they have too? Like they did a lot of business too. Like they had a lot. They sold a lot too, and they're trying to get rid of Cucurella to us as well. It's just like these
that's
players
insane.
just, like a saloon door.
Yeah, I
It's
think
like,
it's
oh, you didn't
insane.
fit. Like, what happened to Koulibaly? It's like
Yeah, is he even there anymore?
Koulibaly. He's somewhere else now, right? Yeah, no, I think he's gone. I think I saw that he got sold in early on.
It's hard to even keep
He's
track
gone
of how many
somewhere.
moves they're making, but I feel like it's cheating. And
Yeah,
I hope they just fail. I mean, they look decent to be honest, but like Casado, you just never know if these players are going to become like Cucurella was one of Brighton's best players, and now he's not even on the team, right? Like you just never know how you're going to adapt to a new system, but I'm not thinking they're back. I think it's ridiculous. Like a 3-0 win over Luton, and all of a sudden it's
yeah,
like, oh, Chelsea's back.
no,
No, not a chance.
no, no, not at all. But again, we have a lot to talk about. So that means that the Premier League is doing fun stuff and there's a lot of
Hell
competitors.
yeah.
And I'd much rather have a lot of these touch points to be, on the fence about and having opinions because again, it's just boring when you just have, one team dominating, which I mean, City is still, they look
Very.
leagues above the rest. But, we'll just hope that they get some slower squad to put a beating on them and humble them. And, I mean, obviously what I was chatting about the very early on is where hopefully teams were going to learn how to uh, get Holland under control. And it's not happening. The guy's just a beast, missed a penalty and then puts a goal in soon after. Just like,
Well, don't you worry, Mr. Melgar, because Manchester City has never won a game at Tottenham's new stadium. So let's just hope that continues.
yeah. And who do you guys have next?
Well, so we play tomorrow. We play Fulham in the Carabao Cup tomorrow, and then at the weekend we've got can't remember. Let's look it up. You guys have Arsenal at the weekend?
Yeah, Sunday 9:30
Yeah, we've
here.
got Burnley, and then we've got Sheffield United. So like we've got a really nice run of fixtures. So I
Yeah.
mean, if we can just pull this momentum, but at the same time, I mean, I thought that the Brentford was a good test, and you guys were a good test. But if we can pull a string together of wins against some of these, teams that aren't that great, but I don't know, Burnley and Sheffield United. I mean, City only beat Sheffield United by a goal, so it's not like they're complete, pushovers like Luton. I feel like to me, there's only two teams that look significantly worse than the rest, and it's Everton, which is kind of funny and sad, and Luton. I feel like those two teams are destined for relegation, but the rest of the teams look decent. Palace looks okay, Wolves look okay. They could get a result against the team. So we'll see. But I want to take this League Cup seriously tomorrow. I'm hoping that we can pull a result against Fulham. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll be watching from afar, basically just looking at the stats. But good luck because it doesn't affect us. But I hope Fulham puts in work. Come on, Pereira. Once a
well,
red,
I'm
always
I'm
a
rooting
red.
for you guys against Arsenal. That's for sure. So let's see
Gonna
how it
be a
goes.
test, so I'm just hoping that we can at least get to halftime 0-0 and or up. But I mean, I would say obviously if we could walk away with a draw, I'd be okay with that. Obviously, the win would be fantastic, but it's just a big ask. But hopefully, we can catch them off guard, and Havertz has a blinder, and we go up, and Ramsdale just gets embarrassed, and we
I'm
win 5-1.
I want to live in your
Give me
head,
that.
man. Not all the time, but in that
Yeah.
current moment that you just described, I want to live in that
Yeah.
moment.
To
Five
do
one.
that, you have to just sit engulfed and
And
things to
this,
make your
ugh,
brain and be like, think positive.
I'll do that for half an hour as long as it's 5-1 United. So I'll
Yeah,
take.
exactly. All right.
All
Well, that
right,
was
we'll
another
wrap
fun
it up
one.
here. Yep.
Don't forget to smash a like, subscribe, share if you're watching on YouTube, and start following us on all our socials. I put links in the bio or in the description area, so just click on any of that. Also, Prem Pals on Instagram. There's links all over there, and we're posting more fun stuff about just our previous trips because
Footy
Alex and I have
culture.
done some really fun stuff together as well as separately. So come check it out and join the ride.
Yep. Peace.
Peace.